Today we're doing the Atlas Prime max investment video. It's the Punched Man. About damn time we got to this. Had Atlas done for quite a while, but you know what? I was waiting until we got a fancier setup, and here we are. I don't know if you can tell the video quality or audio quality being higher than it was previously. Hopefully you can tell. Otherwise, I'd actually die of depression. Now, let us go to Big L Poppy Atlas. Couple things. First, we'll start by going over his a vague overview of his abilities, right? Because I'm sure most people that have Atlas or are planning on playing him are probably in the 5 that already play him and know how to play him, so I don't think I need too detailed of an explanation. So, his first ability is his passive. Wow. Technically not his one, but you know what I mean. He becomes immune to knockdown effects while on the ground. This is annoying because it only works when you're on the ground, and I don't care for it. So you'll see in the build later, I am still running prime footed, but you don't have to. If you don't jump constantly, it's not a problem. But this is Warframe, and I'm always jumping, so his passive might as well just not even exist. His fourth ability, we're gonna work backwards here. His fourth ability, you summon 2 elemental stone brawlers to the melee. Summoning petrifies enemies in close proximity to Atlas. When finished, rumblers collapse into a pile of healing rubble. Now, the healing rubble part is another part of his kit, sort of like it's in his passive, I guess, but it doesn't stay in his passive. Is on the right side of the screen, you can see a little bar, right? A little circle. And that will fill up as you pick up rubble, which is little rocks. So if I cast my 4, if these guys were to die or have their timer run out, or if you recast the ability and detonate them, they will drop rubble. And if you pick that up, or see, I got close to it, sucked it in, it will heal you and will also give you armor. I believe the armor decays at 20 per second, correct me if I'm wrong, and it has a 2 or 3 second delay before it starts decaying. Now, there is a cap of 1500 armor, but that's still a pretty decent amount. Another way to get armor is by killing enemies that are petrified. And one of the things that you was on his 4 was, casting it will petrify nearby enemies. Or you can also use his other ability, his 3, which we'll get to in just a second. Other than that, his 4 is a very long cast animation, and they're kind of dumb, and they don't really do much damage, and they have okay aggro levels. Honestly, it's not a very good ability, but it's just sort of there. If you have the spare energy, you can cast if you want. If you don't, pretend it's not there. Next, we have his third ability, Petrify. Atlas hardens gaze, will fossilize foes, heal rumblers, and create petrified bulwarks. When shattered, petrified enemies drop healing rubble for Atlas. So, petrify guys to get more rubble. Now, you also do get a damage bonus to your first ability, which I'll show in a minute. And I don't know if it affects the damage from your 4. No, not that it would matter, but it does give you more damage for your first ability. You just cast it, and then a cone in front of you turns enemies to stone. Very snazzy. Then his first ability, Landslide. This is his bread and butter. The big punchy boys punch. It's all we care about. Bash enemies with an explosive sliding punch and repeat for devastating combo. Petrified enemies take extra damage and drop rubble when destroyed. Rubble can heal Atlas and bolster his armor. Stats are boosted by the equipped melee weapons mod, so it's a pseudo-exalted weapon. Now, it has an AoE, and the AoE has no fall-off, and the base AoE is 2 meters, and that will increase with your combo. If you do rapid successive punches, you get a combo that will reduce energy cost, increase the radius of the explosion, as well as give you more damage. It also is an ability that must have an enemy to target. You cannot cast it freely. It also cannot target some enemies, such as Archons in an Archon hunt. It cannot be targeted. See the combo? It builds up and you start to do more damage. Very big well. So if I whack this guy here, 48,000 damage. Now I petrify him, whack him again, 72,000. Pretty nice damage increase. So, if you really need the extra damage, petrify them, but a lot of the enemies that you would want to petrify for the extra damage are typically immune to it, so it's kind of a waste anyways, but I digress. Now, his Helmed ability that we have in this is Ophanim Eyes. Now, I really like Ophanim Eyes because it's convenient armor strip wherever you're looking, and armor strip just gives you more damage. Honestly, though, you don't really need this. If you want to run something else, you definitely can. I just felt like it was nice to have a little bit of armor strip, especially if I end up whacking stuff. And this helps your teammates too, because you just look around and stuff gets stripped by armor, which makes it easier for them to kill stuff as well. If you want to use something else, then by all means use something else. Because as long as you have at least corrosive projection in this economy, that's enough armor strip on Atlas. Because there are two main things that changed how I was building him with Jade Shadows, which are you needed armor strip before, now you don't need a full armor strip. And energy was also a little rough with what I was using for that. We had pillage before, but pillage was very energy expensive. You also needed to have 328 strength to make it work for a full strip in a single cast. And, you know, you were spamming it when you also wanted to be spamming your punch. Whereas this is like, cast it, leave it, you're done. And you don't have to have stupidly high strength to get a decent amount of armor strip. And you don't even need it, honestly, anyways, because of the armor changes. So it just made building him a lot easier. On to the actual build now, though. Let us start with the Archon shards. First, we have a casting speed shard. This does not affect the casting speed of his 1, which is the main thing we're using, but it will make it a little more smooth, I guess, when you're using his 3, 4, and 2. Not that we're really using his 4 a lot, but Petrify, it helps us just quickly petrify an enemy and then whack him. So you can run something else if you don't need it, but I like the casting speed, it makes him more comfy. Next, we have 2 Blue Tau Forge for shield capacity. This is to give us a bigger shield gate. Shield gate caps out at 2.5 seconds, and to get there, you need 1,150 shields. We don't quite have 1150, but we're at 1005, which is enough for a 2.3 second shield gate. So, good enough. And that's because he's got pretty high base shields. We have no shield mod equipped, right? This is just the Archon shards here. Very nice. And then lastly, we have 2 purple shards, which are both for melee crit damage, 37% each, which is doubled if the energy is over 500, which brings it up to a delicious 74%. So combined, that's 148. I don't know if it's rounding down like if it was actually 37.5. I actually would imagine it maybe is, so 148 or 150 crit damage. Very nice, gives us a delicious damage increase. On to his mods. Now, first of all, like I said mere moments ago when talking about the Ophanimize and armor strip, we have corrosive projection because the minus 18% armor on enemies. If you have no other source of armor strip, this is nearly a triple damage increase. So very nice to have. Then we have Prime Sure-Footed because another thing I already said earlier, the passive, annoying, I jump a lot, so I run it. If you don't want to run Prime Sure-Footed, you can run something like Mobilize instead, but that's entirely up to you. Then we have Fast Deflection, so we can get our shields back faster to give us more survivability, especially because we're maximizing our shield gates with those Archon shards. Very nice. We have Arcane Aegis for even more survivability because it will proc all the time. Arcane Battery because that will be giving us the extra energy we need, so we have a decent energy cap, as well as being able to proc the secondary effect of the purple shards to double the crit damage. And it works nicely here because Atlas has high base armor. He can get higher armor by picking up a rubble, which will passively increase his energy cap because of battery. So very nice to have. We have double Umbral mods, Intensify for more strength and Fiber for more armor because that makes him tankier on the low end if you're not doing endurance stuff. And it also makes it so we get more energy at the start, right off the get-go, because of Arcane Battery. Then we have Transient Fortitude. We lose duration, but we gain strength. Prime Continuity to help balance out the negative duration. Equilibrium for energy economy. Archon Stretch for the extra range, which we want for our 3, our 2, and our 1 for the AoE. And the reason we're running Archon Stretch instead of normal Stretch is because we are going to be using Diariga, and Diariga's Arc Coil counts to proc this, so you get the extra energy per second. So this is just even more energy to make sure you don't run out. Finally, we have a Rubble Heap, which is one of his augments. When you are above 1400 rubble, Landslide costs no energy, deals double damage, and travels twice as fast. Honestly, the damage increase is overkill. The no energy cost doesn't really matter. Our energy economy is fine. I mostly just like it for the faster cast speed, since casting speed doesn't normally affect it. But if you want to replace this with another mod, you totally can. Really, if you wanted to go all in, you could probably just replace Rubble Heap with Umbral Vitality, just because then you get a little bit higher strength. It probably wouldn't be optimal, but it is something you could do if you decided to. Now, if you want to build for not having to spam the crap out of Shield Gate in his 1, because his 1, I forgot to mention earlier, it actually gives you health immunity while you're casting it during the little slide and punching. Your shields can still be damaged, but your health is immune to damage while you cast it. So that gives us a ton of survivability. That plus the high shields with Vast Deflection and Aegis is a lot of survivability, which is very nice. But if you want to go for a health tank instead, another option to increase your health would be Arcane Blessing. I sold both of mine, but at max rank, if you pick up enough health orbs, you get over 1,000 health. So that's pretty snazzy, if you ask me. I actually think it's like around 1,200 health. That is it for the mods on the build. Now we have our companion, which, like I said earlier, where's it, is Diarrhea. Because Diarrhea is awesome as a primer. We have our coil because, you know, priming. And wait, this is the wrong build. There we go. And it also will proc Archon Stretch for the extra energy, Guardian for even more survivability, Synth Deconstruct for lots of health orbs for energy from Equilibrium, Momentous Bond so we get another element for priming, and we also get our companion to come back faster. If it dies, we only need to kill 2 Eximus and bam, it's back. Vacuum to suck stuff in, Prime Regen because it's comfortable, Manifold Bond because it's a must-have with Arc Coil, Accelerated Deflection for more survivability, Duplex Bond so we have more Sentinels running around hitting stuff, and Assault Mode so he can actually shoot with his normal weapon. And the weapon is Hellstrom. We have a pretty normal Radiation Viral Primer build on the Hellstrom. I want to go heat. I try to get rid of the heat in case I decide to use a heat primer sometimes, because you can accidentally screw yourself over if you're attempting to use heat and hair. But that's not something that a normal player has to worry about, I'd say. Now for the weapons, we have the Rauda. Thank you again to Andrew100, or Andrew Chicken 100? No, it's Andrew. Andrew Chicken is a Paladin's YouTuber. Andrew, thank you, Andrew, for giving me all the parts of the Rauda. Absolute battle, buddy. The Rauda is a very average shotgun, but the reason we want it is the unique trait makes it so when we shoot an enemy, it builds up our combo, so we don't have to whack stuff to build our combo, which is very nice to have. Then we have primary dexterity, so we get extra combo duration, so we don't run out of our combo as fast. Other than that, I just have like multi-shot to maximize how much combo we build up. There is a cap. It's really complicated. If you want to know how it works, go watch a Kengineer video on it. But, you know, multi-shot, fire rate. We also get revive speed because Amalgam Shotgun Barrage, more multi-shot, and lots of mag capacity and reload speed just to make it so we don't have to reload all the time. Then we have Epitaph Prime as a primer for even more priming if Diarrhea isn't enough, and also for more survivability. We have Pistol Ammo Mutation for more ammo. Stunning Speed gives us status chance and reload speed. The base reload is 0.6. This brings it to 0.4, so we can spam it more. Prime Fulmination so that we have a massive 14.4 meter radius explosion on the quick shot. Frostbite Pistol Pestilence so that we get viral and lots of status chance. Perpetual Agony for extra status duration so it lasts longer. Because you know, we want the viral to be there by the time we kill them. Plus, this has forced cold procs in case you didn't know that about the Epitaph. Lethal Torrent for more multi-shot and fire rates. Amalgam Barrel Diffusion for multi-shot and dodge speed. Then we have Secondary Fortifier, which gives us 1 overguard every 100 damage dealt overguard, and makes us deal 8 times damage to overguard. This is very nice because we can just spam the crap out of our quick shot and hit everything, and we'll get lots of delicious armor. And the reason I have Hornet Strike here, even though this is made for priming, is the extra damage from Fortifier is enough to do good damage to Overguard, and with Hornet Strike, it's enough to, if you're lucky with a crit, break the enemy's Overguard in one shot, even on high level stuff. So it's really nice, not really needed, but nice to have. If you didn't go for that, I would go something like this. Because Scorch, the DOT, if it ticks down on enemies' overguard, it will keep refreshing your overguard to give you the gating effect, which is pretty crazy. But I don't know, really depends. Just go with whichever one you prefer, I suppose, but I'll be sticking with the Hornet Strike one for now. Magistar, because if you didn't know, Magistar, which is an Incarnon weapon, Incarnon evolutions affect pseudo-exalteds, which is what Atlas's first ability is. Now, the evolutions are really straightforward, right? We got attack speed. The other one doesn't really matter. These are both irrelevant. We're not going to be swinging the weapon. These are also all three irrelevant. We're not going to be swinging the weapon. And we just want critical parallel. 16% base crit chance and 1x crit multiplier increase, which affects the pseudo-exalted. Atlas's stats on his fists, his pseudo-exalted at base, is 5% crit chance, 5% stats chance, and a 2x crit multiplier. So this gives us a 3x multiplier with 21% crit chance. Very, very juicy. For the mods, we do have a Riven, and I'll go over that in a second. But before that, the stance is pretty irrelevant. Tennokai is nice here for Discipline's merit because if you activate the Incarnon, these stats, the 100% melee damage, does affect the pseudo-exalted as well. So if you're in the Incarnon form, you get the extra damage. And the sprint speed and parkour velocity is also nice as well. Not completely worthless to have. Prime pressure point for even more melee damage. Blood rush, so we get lots of crit chance at a 12x multiplier. That's 440% crit chance. Gladiator Vice, just for the secondary effect. The attack speed is worthless because we want more crit chance. That's another 10%. Gladiator Rush for combo duration and another 10% from the secondary effect. Gladiator Might for crit damage and another 10% to the secondary effect, which is 30. Mini version of Blood Rush. That's another 330% crit chance. We then have Sacrificial Seal, which is 220% crit chance. As you can see, a lot of crit chance here. We have Prime Fever Strike, so that we get lots of elemental damage. Melee Exposure for even more elemental damage, being 240% at max, which is insane. And if you're spamming this enough, you can even use a rank 0. The ranking up just affects how fast it builds up, not the cap. And lastly, we have a Riven. Magistar Visicron, I paid 1200 plat for this. It gives melee damage and crit chance with negative crit chance to slide attack. 308.2 crit chance. Very important that we have this with what I'm running here. Now, I am not using the crit damage mod, which is fine because it really ends up being a bigger damage increase to have Prime Fever Strike than it would be to put on Organ Shatter. So I'd rather have this. And with all this crit chance together, we round up Magistar to 310, right? So we got 440. All of the Glad mods and the secondary effect, that's 330. That puts us 770. Sacrificial Steel's another 220. That's 990. Add in 310 because we're rounding up. That puts us at a delicious 1300 crit chance, which is a 14x multiplier to our 21% crit chance. So I think we're at like 296% crit chance when we're at a 12x combo, so that's almost guaranteed red crits. High enough that we're pretty much only going to be getting red crits. So high enough that it's good. Now, our focus school is Naramon, mostly just for Power Spike. We don't really need anything else. Amp Spike is nice, I guess, because we'll always have the melee combo built up so we get the damage for doing Void Cascade, but everything else is completely irrelevant here for what we're using it. We just want Power Spike so we don't run out of our combo. And besides, you don't need Uneru or Vazarin or Zenrik. And Madurai is nice, I guess, but it's not necessary. So Naramon's just comfortable. Then that's it for all of that stuff. The only thing left to talk about here, hang on a second. We want to remove my companion again real quick so I can show you the damage without that affecting it. But Magus Aggress, something that I'm sure if you're an Atlas main you're thinking about. It is not something I am running in this build. And there's a valid reason for that. So Magus Aggress is an operator arcane that states on Warframe melee transference, heavy blades deal 300% crit damage for 4 consecutive attacks with a 20-second cooldown. So you go into your operator and you swing out of it. Now, that also works with hammers, not just heavy blades, despite what it says. And the crit damage bonus only goes down when you strike an enemy with your melee. It does affect pseudo-exalteds, the damage bonus, but pseudo-exalteds do not count as striking an enemy with your melee. Meaning, theoretically, you can always have the 300% crit damage to your melee or your pseudo-exalted, which is a lot of crit damage. What's annoying about that is if you end up swinging or falling off the map or dying, it can go away, which is really annoying. And then this takes up an operator arcane, which you could run something else. I always run emergent savior. I hate playing the game without it. So my secondary arcane slot could be Magus Lockdown instead, which is a pretty huge arcane to have. And honestly, our damage ends up being so high that we don't even need this. So I personally don't run it, not anymore. But if you have less damage, you don't have a Riven, you only get like orange crits instead of red crits, you could use Magus Aggress. But I don't really think it's necessary, and I'd rather have Magus Lockdown instead. So, let us punch some dudes. First, we are going to want to build up our melee combo counter, of course. You can even see it on the top right if you have the router out and you've shot something. Very, very juicy. I forgot to grab energy, so let's do that. So run back over here. I'm not even going to armor strip them. That was quite effective. That was without petrifying them. That was without priming them. That was without armor stripping them with open eyes. That was a lot of damage. So let's say we were to add in this, and then we say... switch my weapon. I don't remember how to switch my weapon. On, there we go. That was a big whoa. F? Yes, it's F. Build our combo back up. We want to make sure that stays up. Cast our 3 to petrify them. Add in some priming. Yeah, they dead. They dead. He does big damage. Big damage. And that was still without our companion. I think you get the idea. Pretty simple to understand, pretty straightforward. So let's put our companion back on, and then we can go into a solo Netracell. Make sure we got the right stuff on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Leave Simulacrum. Ooga booga. I am still getting used to playing on a computer, so if I... Wow, we got the weird text across the screen. If I suck, don't be too mad at me, because I'm probably going to suck. It's real rough out here. I try to use a controller, but I don't know, it's like laggy. I don't know why. It's probably because it's a PS5 controller that was Bluetoothing. It was rough, so... I'm just gonna suffer through trying to play this on PC when I... played a grand total of like 2 missions on PC so far. We are in solo, right? Yes, sirree, we are. Now I will show the buffs before I cut to getting in the circle, because I will cut past that so you don't have to watch me run around trying to hack shit, because that's probably not very entertaining. But I know that there may be people out there like me that are curious about what debuffs we end up having to work with. Slain enemies explode, that's not a problem. Slash effect when I take damage, also not a problem. Electricity, not a problem. Lose health when moving, also not a problem. Alright, I will see you beautiful people in the circle. Big whoa. We has returned. Big whoa. Let the games begin. Bro, watch me die here. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Y'all would love to see that. I know you would. That was the wrong ability. Oh my god, dude. I fucking suck ass on PC. Please don't let me die. Oh no, when my health is raining. It's a big scary. When my melee combo's at not as high as I would like it. Good enough. There we go. And now we are big chillin'. I don't think I'm gonna die at any point now. Probably not gonna build up my rubble here just because it's annoying to try to do on PC when I don't really know the controls all that well, but if you have the augment or you just want to build up your rubble regardless, then don't forget that you can do that. Dude, look at this damage, bro. It's kind of insane. Atlas is a pretty strong frame that's been getting a lot of W's lately in the past year, but he does still have some downsides. Both downsides and, I don't know, it's hard to explain, right? Like, he could use some tuning or slash reworking, kind of, but he's also a very viable frame now. Like, he's really strong. He's got great survivability, both on the low end and on the high end. He has ungodly amounts of damage. He's got AoE on his fists, so it's not just a single target attack. He's got good energy economy. He's a very good frame. He's even got some level crowd control with his petrifying enemies shit. But his problem is that he's got useless abilities on him as well, right? Like, his fourth ability is basically worthless, and his second ability is totally worthless. Like, that thing just shouldn't even exist. So he needs some love, but at the same time, he's a very useful, or not useful, I mean, yes, useful, but a very good frame as is. You can definitely make it work. He's actually one of the frames I enjoy the most for playing Void Cascade. Just one-shotting an Acolytes is hilarious. And if you've got enough range, right, which you just need like one range mod, even if you get the Acolytes that silences you, all you gotta do is target him while outside of his silence radius with the punch, and then you'll punch into the radius and one-shot him. So you don't even have to worry about being silenced as long as you play smart. It's really, really funny. Especially when they like spawn on top of you and then they die within less than a second. It's like, oh, where'd the Acolyte go? Oh, sorry guys, I killed him instantly. So very juicy frame. And I mean, if I'm doing a Void Cascade or really anything with Acolytes, having a teammate absolutely pulverize them before I have to worry about them is pretty nice. So you end up helping your teammates quite a bit too. They don't have to worry about that bullshit going on from the Acolytes. Plus the power fantasy of just punching shit is really satisfying. It's the kind of thing that you don't really understand watching it. Like you can see me punching stuff here. And before I started playing Atlas a while ago, I saw people use them in videos, but you can't really understand fully the satisfaction you get from punching something until you've done it yourself. So you gotta give Atlas a try. You gotta. It's an absolute must. I don't know how to heavy attack on console, so I can't activate my Incarnon to get that extra damage. Not that it's needed. I mean, we're killing everything with zero effort as is. I don't need to be priming. I don't need petrifying. I don't need to be at max rubble. So I don't exactly think the extra damage for being in the Incarnon form is needed here, but, you know, if that's something you care about, try to remember to do that. Ooga booga. We've almost gotten to the second Netracell. And even with my doo-doo water gameplay, I'm not even getting remotely close to dying because of how juicy Atlas is. Which is pretty important. Honestly, in my opinion, I guess what I care about when I'm playing the game is comfort. I wanted to say comfortability, but comfort is the word. Comfort and survivability are more important to me than damage most of the time. So the fact that I can have all of that at the same time on Atlas, he's comfortable, he's got insane damage, and he's got great survivability, pretty nice. He fulfills all the things I really care for in a frame while also being fun, because there are frames like you play and they are good, but you just don't enjoy sometimes. Like, honestly, I don't enjoy playing Saren. Saren's really, really boring to me. She's really overpowered, and I know a lot of people enjoy that, and that's totally fine. If you enjoy that, by all means, you go, girl. But I personally find Saren mind-numbingly boring to play. But Atlas, oh buddy, oh buddy, oh boy. Boy, howdy do I like punching stuff. And you'd think you'd get sick of it, right? But 2 hours into a mission, and I still enjoy punching crap. So it's probably really dependent on like the person themselves. If you don't enjoy punching it, then that's totally fine. But I personally, ooh, do I like it. Here, let us thwacky. Give me that delicious loot while I think of what I say in the outro. Wow. So I'm not sure if they're going to be changing Atlas anytime soon, if they're going to be buffing his 4 and 2 and maybe his passive. If I were to do anything to him, I would say rework how the scaling works on his 4th ability, right? Like increase the aggro value, make them extra tanky, and make them actually do some level of damage. And reduce the casting speed because it's so horrendous at base. Even with casting shards, it's absolutely painful. But do that and you'd be good, because I actually like the golems in theory, right? Like on paper, okay? They look cool and the idea is awesome. They just aren't very effective. Then his 2nd ability, I would just remove entirely. Just don't even bother with that. It's so bad. His 1st ability, I don't really think there's any problems with his 1st ability, or at least not to me personally. And his 3rd ability is also pretty fine. He's a okay frame. I would like it if they made it so his passive was just complete knockdown immunity, not just on the ground. And if they made it so his rubble for the armor, if they raised the armor cap to 2k and made it so it doesn't start decaying until like 6 seconds, right? 5-6 seconds instead of 2 or 3 seconds. That would help quite a bit. But that's gonna do it for the Atlas Max investment video. If you liked the video, then leave a like, subscribe. That would be a very big whoa. Maybe even share this to somebody so they can see my dog shit gameplay. Wow. And then let me know if the video and audio quality is better and if it's good enough for now. That's gonna do it. Adios.